First, I'm going to start off with a poem, and I might go kind of fast in the graph. So you can please follow along. It's going to do a lot of presentations. So you can go ahead and start, head down now. With symbols or riddles to fit on my mind, inside mythos and music help to line divine insight. Rhythmically and rhyming, rewinding from my me to see, helps put pictures from my history. For scenes I've fallen asleep, you see, drowned deep in dream, dissociated identity. I heard a chord, it opened the door. This has happened before. It was I wanted to explore. I saw my eyes hypnotized, realized to my surprise beneath the surface of face. That's when the story again took place. It's coming around again, began the end, turn back to the beginning again. Omega to the alpha to the omega, it's been a cyclical journey that never ends. The Big Bang sang and fell to a dream, it seems. An explosion of bring exists to everything. It was me, you see, the singularity for manifesting energy. You paid captivity, particles holding me down, but never really bound. Still we're in the crown because I have the universe sound. Everything sings my song. I'm the all, tall, and small. From the atom to the greatest cataclysm, given shape, rock or ape, I mutate, alchemically, transforming endlessly into all possibilities. Orchestrating synchronistically, holistically, through causality, whether it be verbally or through mass, my power you grasp. I gave birth to the earth, the word of my verse, matter from a star that traveled afar. Billions of years have passed, until a flash, humanity came to grasp what I'd done at last. My greatest art project yet, dynamic, spiral, self-aware to get the evolution of the extravagant blue planet, you can understand that I have planned it. It is I that makes you move. It is I your cells respond to. It is me that comes out from the sun. It's me you've been feeling all along. I created all so you can see me. What is your true identity? You believe that you're separate from me? That is not possible. I'm each particle, unstoppable, as the Taoists flow around that ghost cyclical. Identity is burned at each turn, purified at the beginning of each life. The ego rises from my many disguises. Collectively, you have been visionary, showing glimpses of what is me through your mythologies. Endless amount of stories, examples of my flexibility, my creativity flowing endlessly through humanity. Through patterns that capture your attention. But you pay attention to science, I find placed perfectly by my mind, science, or religious come to the same conclusion. It is I then the solution. To inspire, to climb higher, to light the fire, to be the flame that cannot be tamed. Your source of passion, past the point of rational. The one that your soul from lead to gold. They'll speak of something brighter than the sun. They speak of the none, the one that turned the too many things that go into. Varieties of complexities, flavors of taste to measure me so fully. Any rotating do not be mistaken. The road for you to awaken. Paradigm shifts, rifts, sifts the sand, earthquakes on land, but still I stand. Human, but I'm human and you might understand. You eyes, you lives, the shifts inside. Many people realizing the last, manifesting critical mass. So the moment comes to pass, the moment we take off our masks. And we'll enjoy it, explore myself subjectively, for objective reality, subjective components of me. An accumulation of me, yous, and we's, all that exists in my mind, intertwined, connecting matter endlessly, networking all you see. And soon the time will come when the earth is devoured by our sun. And I find a new place to play, surfacing galaxies, surface the birds, and your earth far away. And he's born, and I'm given form, imaginatively. One day my external qualities will cease to be. I mean, unis and galaxies. I'll become undivided whole, an embryo potentiality yet to be born. The polar opposites unite, the tension between them no longer given light. The yin and yang can sang, the dividing line begins to severe, but I'm not held in fear. With ease I cease to be. The end of the eternal play I play so endlessly. And as the curtain closes and the universe erodes, I remember the stories told. The stories lived, each one I was in. The beginning cannot wait to begin again. It's coming around again. Begin the end, turning back to the beginning again. Omega to the alpha to the omega. It's been a cyclical journey that never ends. Thank you. Thanks. I'm titling the presentation Patterns and Paradigms, which means patterns and worldviews. I've seen as we look back through human history, there's been a thread that's gone along the way we've seen the world. And what I came to recently is that the way we experience the world is actually a different form of consciousness. So when consciousness sees the world differently, it's consciousness taking on a different form and evolving. So there's been an evolution that's been taking place. Now, why is this personally important? I've come to realize that it's our perception on which we rest that makes all our decisions. So we go through life according to the way we see the world. You know, our identity itself is based on how we see the world. My relation to the whole is how I get my identity. And if I believe I'm in a dream, you know, I can believe I'm invincible. If I believe I'm in a materialistic world, then it's only my body that has any importance in accumulating wealth and so on. So it's the perceptions, the foundations of what we see that actually dictates our life. And for the most part, they go like Unassumed, like unassumptions, they go unchecked. We just believe we're born into a context, into a container, and we live accordingly. But the truth is we've gone through so many transformations at the beginning of our human history that we've seen the world completely different ways than the way we do now. And each one of those, we actually experience life itself very differently. So I'm going to hand out here. So I was going to first go to systems thinking, because something I recently got into, because I've been seeing this kind of like part of the model, the way consciousness evolves. Systems can take the lens of an individual, of a community, of a classroom, of the human race, the globe, the universe, everything can be seen in terms of systems. So first you have a cycle. That's the model buildings, right? So it goes around in an order. And then we'll have what's called a feedback loop, where information comes in, there's self-reflection that comes into play. So it's like me as an individual, I'm going through this cycle, I learn something, and now I go through the cycle again. But then when I go back through the cycle again, I learn something new on top of what that I learned before. It builds, there's a transformation, and I go through the cycle again. And I keep going, but every time that cycle is actually different. So a new model that's even better now is what we consider a spiral. Because every time we go out, we're cycling again, but it's different every time. It's never the same cycle. Something new that comes into play, though, is what we call an emergent property. For some reason, it's just in all of reality, there's a shift that takes place. There's like a jumping up into separate realms. After going through the cycle so many times, something happens, a new capability comes into play. Us human beings didn't always have logic or rationality, reason, and so on. They were developed. They came into existence as we kept going on forward. There's been many jumps throughout a lot of history. Now this ties in with another part that we consider integral theory. If you guys please have questions, go ahead and ask them. I want to make sure you understand. I tutored math for a long time, so it's like you have to understand step by step to get the whole model. So go ahead and quick background, the way Ken Wilber developed this, he kind of sat in his room like for 3 or 4 years and talked to human beings, trying to put all the models of the world together and realized they fall into these 4 categories. This is the interior, exterior, and then you have the collectives in the bottom. The singular, this collective. This is the interior space of my subjective experience. This is the body, the outside, the manifest, the objective, the things that are measurable. This is the internal collective, the realm of relations, of feeling one another, culture, religion. It is like watching a group of dynamic behavior, a group of systems, constellations, families, all the way to like our solar system, the planets, and so on. Now, how does this all tie together? We have an idea of what's called a whole. A holon is a whole, but it's part of something else. It's part of another whole. So this would go, see, this is one holon right here. Comes with this holon, comes with this holon, comes with this holon, comes with this holon. It actually creates a brand new holon. So let me draw it out real quick so you can see where we're going. So each of these are wholes, but they're parts of another whole, right? These come together to create this one. But what happens then is they create this other whole, infinitum, forever, right? Each one of these wholes is an interior. It has an exterior, and it has a collective component. So each of them has an inside, an actual experience. From the atom all the way down, there's an actual mind, there's an interiority. There's the exterior. Then there's a collective component, something we call now an emergent property. For some reason, what happens with reality is when things come into relation, a new thing comes into being. You've heard the saying, the whole is more than the sum of the parts. For some reason, when things come together, they take an evolutionary step. This can be traced back through all the whole evolutionary process from Big Bang till now. An example is parts of the airplanes coming together, right? You have the main integral parts of an airplane. By themselves, they can't fly. But you put all the pieces together, a new capability comes into play. They now have flight. So here, how can we see this right here? Evolutionary, we can see this in atoms, molecules, and cells. Atoms come together, they form molecules. But now those have chemical properties, properties that weren't here in the atom. Then they come together to form cells, biological life properties that weren't there in the molecules. Atoms, molecules, then cells coming together. Then come the organs, and then organisms, and then the political system, the psyche, the whole thing that evolves out of this way of being. What happens though with holons, it's something we call depth and span. I say atoms, molecules, cells. A lot of people are going to like this because it seems hierarchical, like a pyramid. There's going to be more atoms than molecules, right? And there's going to be more molecules than cells. That's just the way it is. We go all the way up to human beings and so on. There's less human beings than there are atoms because we're made up of this. But say you destroy the atoms, the whole thing falls apart. Say these are the cells. But you can destroy the cells, and universally, molecules and atoms will still exist. If you destroy molecules, the cells and the molecules go away, but atoms still exist. There's like a hierarchical components. Atoms are more foundational than molecules, which are more foundational than cells. Another idea is that they transcend and include. The molecule transcends and includes the atom. The cell transcends and includes the cell. They're still there. They take on those properties that came before, and take it to another level. They're still there, and you don't repress, you don't leave it behind. So you'll see this when we talk about levels of development right now, human development. Each level of development takes what came before, it takes it to another step. You don't leave any of it behind, it builds on one another. So let's get to the basic evolutionary models. Teilhard de Chardin, he was a paleontologist, a Christian realistic scientist in the beginning of the 1900s. And he said, first thing we say, these next people talk about, say consciousness was foundational. It was always in the beginning since the Big Bang. So, but in the model itself, he said we went from pre-life to life, and then to thought. Now look at this historically. You guys know the story, right? Big Bang comes around, star explodes, we come together to atoms. There's a cosmological story that our paradigm now holds. Pre-life, the matter. Life, biological life, is what's thought, our realm of consciousness, of self-reflection. He also put it into the geosphere, his way to the biosphere, his way to the noosphere. The sphere of matter, even which the sphere of life, even over the sphere of mind. What happens is though, just to do this a little more, they're nested. This idea of nested is the geosphere is here. This is kind of the view of the pyramid, just a little more realistic right now. And inside that grows the biosphere, and inside that grows the noosphere. So it's kind of transcend includes each one actually is inside of the other. Aurobindo actually came a few years before. And he said it moves from matter to life to the mental and then to the supramental. He was an Indian sage. This guy's he was a Christian priest. One's east, one's west. They're coming from different sides of the world, but they both defied things of each other, came up with the same model. It's an evolutionary flow of spirits. The consciousness of itself is at the beginning, manifesting through this. And both of them say mind was first. There's still interiority. There's an inside of things. See, what happens is when there's greater complexity, consciousness comes out of that. When greater complexity, I realized the other day in class, means greater realm of relationships. When we say complexity, right, we see dots, connecting. Complexity means greater connections, greater relationship, which means greater depth. Now you have this system of complexity inside the atom, quarks and so on, connecting to make greater complexity with the molecules, all connecting greater complexity in cells. My body has trillions of atoms, billions of cells, and so on. Creates a great level of complexity and depth in my being, the very foundational evolutionary level. So from the realm of being, there's all this complexity going inside with many levels of depth, creating this human experience of consciousness. Now this realm, just to make it more contemporary, I believe the next one's going to be called being. Instead of supermental, it's kind of old. So it's like there's a realm behind thought, behind conceptual thinking. Right now we're thinking if we form this identity, this mind, this concept, but there's a soul experience behind the mind. You know, the mind is a mental construct, a conditioning. You know, I'm born, I have this life, I'm given my name, I have an identity. But there's something that came before that, something unmanifested. If you believe it, maybe I'll say like reincarnation, like I came in this life with a purpose. There's still a being behind that. You know, purpose, meditation, and so on. It's kind of just clear, dissolve that construct, so I can work from that place from now on, which is far more intuitive, which is more here and now. And that's a big idea of like being here in the body, because without doing that, you're kind of just floating around in space, your mind's in the past and the future and so on. But to get grounded here, you know, it's kind of powerful, and that's like the beingness. I'm just being, I'm just existing, which is a dynamic thing. Let's clear some of this stuff out of the body. Wilbur, I thought he did a great evolutionary model. It simplified a lot of the human evolution stuff. Can we first move from egocentric to ethnocentric to world-centric to cosmocentric. So when we're born, see, we go through this process again. The human race has gone through this, and we're still evolving through this. But when we're born, you know, 2, 3, so on, we form this conception of a self, the egoic self, which is me, 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 me. I'm being ruled by my impulses and so on. I am my greatest concern, my individual experience. You know, I'm differentiated from the world, this is all I know. Then the next stage of development is ethnocentric, so now I'm caring about a group. It's still us versus them. I care about my family, I care about my nation, my religion, so on. But there's a division that takes place. It's not caring about the whole. It's so my group's better than your group, I care about my group, I'll die for my group, and so on. But there's still another, there's still a war that takes place. Still an I versus you attitude. Religion, this is, people go to war, most of the world's still kind of right here still. You move into world-centric, where it's kind of a we space. We're no longer me versus you, my religion versus your religion. It's like, yo, we're all in this together. There's a humanistic stance where we become a humanitarian, we care about each other. So now you kind of care about the globe as a whole. It's no longer my country, you don't even see lines anymore. Cosmocentric with a K is more of a spiritual stance. It's like, hey, we're all beings, we're all spirits, we're this divinity, we're the whole process going through. You can look at an alien and be like, yo, like we're the same thing going on. It's not a division. You look at an animal, a tree, and be like, what animates you is what animating me. It's no longer, it takes it out of the realm of just human beings. My favorite model. That's a simplified form. Remember all these things that we're going to play, because the holons, the systems, and so on, it's the dynamics, the building blocks of how the whole system begins to operate. My favorite right now is spiral dynamics. Right now, Don Beck's one that puts it on is made by Claire Graves. Him and Wilbur actually hooked up in the 90s. They made 2 models that corresponded almost exactly like each other, finally teamed up in the 90s and worked on a model together. And they took all the evolutionary models that come into play with their own research and put an awesome thing together. Spiral, I've already told you why the spiral is significant. You keep going around, but at every time, it expands further out. Fluo, my favorite band, they have this line that says, spiral out, keep going. It's kind of you're always evolving. Spiral for Jung was a sign of evolution and self-realization. The first stage, it's color-coded, was beige. 100,000 years ago. I'll tell you what the colors mean. We actually tend to move from these spectrums back and forth of singular, collective, singular, collective, singular, collective, back and forth as we grow. So these are going to be the singulars, where we care more about ourselves, and this is going to be the collective side. Right? Beige is the human race once we grew out of this whole matter, cells, the animal kingdom, you know, you guys know the story, right? You know, from fish, amphibians, reptiles, mammals, human beings come up. Here we're still instinctual. This is us. Like, this is your same consciousness was molded by these experiences. We're coming out of the grasslands, that's why it's called beige, and we're much more impulsive. There's no sense of self at all constructed. Look at your consciousness now, this is still there. I'm ruled by instinct. I have a need, I get it satisfied. Think about a wild boar, you know, a monkey, something else that just takes place where something comes in, needs to be fed. Children still go through this. This is our experience as a human race. But when a kid is born, it has to relive the whole thing. The micro has to relive all the macro all over again. We start out as cells when we're conceived. We go through the whole process and we go through all the world views at every human being. Nobody's born at different stages. They have to begin from the beginning and work their way up. After beige, beginning 100,000 years ago, we have what's called purple. Purple, we use it because it's more majestic. This is 50,000 years. This is the tribal me, the mythic me. So we're organisms, individuals going around trying to survive. We actually begin to form in groups. There's just greater survival skills. Think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Instincts, then belonging and security. We begin to form in groups just because we bred a survival rate. We start to do rituals, bury our dead, have ceremonies. The shaman comes in. I mean, this is us. This is all our history. This is still Africa. Beginning is us putting the whole thing together. We don't know anything about the world. At this sense, there's no sense of self. Like this is indigenous people are still here. The human race has passed this worldwide. There's no human beings of Asian. Purple is still the indigenous people. We recently learned from the teachers that at this place, people still have different views from each other in the group. The cosmology of the group is the one you share. People don't have different opinions or different ways of seeing things. You kind of just share your group mentality. So it's a very peaceful way, but it's still infantile. It's kind of like the whole a pre-rational, trans-rational thing. They're not enlightened. It's like saying you're in the womb and you're in bliss, but there's no sense of that. There's no sense of self knowing I'm in bliss. Then we have red. This is 10,000 years ago. This is the egocentric stage. Red because it's passion, it's hot-blooded. So what happens here, we're in a group, and all of a sudden you get a sense of me, mine, So you want to break away from the group. I want more than others. See, I'm willing to compete. I'm willing to fight. This is the conquistadors. Now, we still have all this in us. This would be kind of like the sports, the competitive, third world countries, people that are still on the lure of the survival skills. Like this is where they're at. What it brings a lot, though, is a lot of chaos. This is the cohesion breaking away. Everybody does their own thing. There's no order. There's no morals. There's no guilt. People just do whatever they wanted to win. Think about gangsters or street wars. This is where people are at. What happens next is blue. Blue is 5,000 years ago. Most I believe in Egypt, coming together, bringing law. Now, tribes only got so big, broke away. What happens now with blue? We build societies and cities. We have a law that can bring everybody together. We have dogma, we have religion, everybody's under one doctrine. We're all part of the same group because we share the same belief, the same rules, the same structure. What happens here is, this is a strong sense of self, and the next part right here, you kind of give up yourself for a higher power. The idea of born-again Christians? Because this is chaotic, their life is in disorder, and this is strict order and discipline. This is the conventional. You got from pre-conventional, conventional, trans-conventional, where it's like, I don't know anything about a group, I'm doing my own thing, impulses. Now I'm blending in doing whatever society's doing. Think about your days maybe in junior high where you care about everybody looks like, you just want to fit in. And then you move past that, like, yeah, I'm an individual, I'm my own thoughts. And the group's only getting me so far. Like, I've seen to outgrow the group. So this trans-conventional. A has a thing where it's like, also to like say A, you have to like, give up yourself. Your life's a mess. You give yourself up in the 12 steps for a higher power. It helps to fix it. So this is the religion. A fundamentalist religious person would be between these two stages, holding a lot of blue and red. What happens next is we move into orange. Orange, 1,000 years ago, but only got big about 500 years ago. If you notice, these are the warm colors, and these are the cool colors. This comes in, got big around the Enlightenment. It's scientists, objectives, capitalists. Again, it's really individualistic. See, now we're in the group, right? There's only so much you're going to get out of that too. And after a while, you're like, I want to do something in my own life. This would be Maslow's hierarchies of self-esteem. There would be a belonging over there, they have self-esteem. Where I want to succeed on my own. Hey, I want to go start a business. I'm tired of being in this group. Like, it's cool and all, but there's something in me that just wants more. So I'm going to break away and do my own thing. Here, the religions ruled and told you what kind of reality is. It's based on society. Now I'm breaking away and like, yo, there's patterns in nature. Like, I'm going to be a little more objective. Science comes in, right? Hey, maybe they're not all right about the same thing. Maybe there's actually a different law, and I'm gonna go find out about myself. Scientific experimentation, the scientific method, so on. This is where the majority of the US is, but right now about 40%, and about 40% in blue. Most of the world is in red and blue, trying to get into orange. So you can see evolutionary just where most people are at. Materials, this is, since it's self-based, you can see they're kind of do everything for their own capitalistic gain, and beautiful at the same time, it's kind of destroying a lot of things. So the next stage always grows in response to the problems the one before. The next one is green. Green's a lot of what the Bay Area is right now. Came in 150 years ago. We got big around the 60s. Now you become humanitarian again, ecological. You care about the whole again. Like hippie movement, human rights. Hey, we're messing things up. There's a caring that comes in. Orange and blue are really insensitive. They're highly rational, really insensitive. It's all about the bottom line. They don't care about empathy. It's just, capabilities weren't awakened yet. New capabilities arise at every level. These are what's called the first tier. They're the personal. They're things that you need as an individual to first get self-automated. This is what the Bay Area is kind of known for right now. It's kind of leading edge. Now you have second tier, which is a whole evolutionary jump. They call them the beaming beings. The first one's integral, it's yellow. It's called the integral. And kind of the idea is you integrate everything that came before. See, all these worldviews are actually different worldviews, different ways of experiences, are all fighting with each other. Each one thinks they're right. The materialistic view and the green, they have a pluralistic view. Reality is relative to each individual. What happens here, though, is that everything's collapsed into what is a flat line. Orange revolves around hierarchy, right? There's order, there's rules. Like in a business, there's the boss and so on all the way down. So does blue. Green saw that brought a lot of oppression. So they're like, forget that, everything's the same. It collapses everything, there's no depth, everything's the same. Hitler's worldview and ideology is the same as Gandhi's. So they're like, hey, it's relative to each individual. Yellow comes in, it's like, no, there's actually depth. There's an evolutionary process. One's more evolved than the other. One's better adapted to work at the world than the other. And they're the first one to see that each of these are important, that they grow upon of each other. So they're no longer fighting each individual. They come here to take care of the whole. Like, yo, you got to go through purple to get to red. You have to fill out red to get to blue, and so on. Well, each one here thinks they're right. So here comes systems thinking, integral thought, and so on. This is 50 years ago, spanning out about 1% of the population. And then you have what's called turquoise. Turquoise comes in because it's more of a holistic view of the planets. This is like the holistic paradigm. You see systems, you see flow, but you're kind of working through it naturally. There's more synchronicities. Here's where psychic capacities actually come into play. They're more intuitive. Here's the rational. Here's instinctual. From here to here, this is all instinct impulses. Blue, orange, green, like you're more rational. Then you move into transrational, or an intuitive way of being. Just move with like, you've learned enough. Yellow values learning and experience. They don't care about authority the way blue. They give up authority as a status. Yellow cares about who has more experience and knowledge. Turquoise now again cares about the whole, but not in a global way. It's a life-centered thing, where life is important. While green cares about human rights and all humans, like they deserve their own way, and everyone has the potential to become all self-actualized. Turquoise says, hey, all life is space. It's more ecological. It's like, hey, we're all part of the whole. They see systems thinking, so they know each piece influences the whole thing. So like the dynamics, say, of an atom will influence the dynamics of molecule, dynamics of a cell. One piece is rearranged, the whole thing is affected. Think billiard balls moving, all connecting with each other. And this is where field thinking comes into play. We read, Bosch, Christopher Bache. Like fields come into play that, hey, we're psychically linked, and so on. This comes in 30 years ago. There's actually one more called choral, but there's just like not enough of it for people to even say really what it is. It's kind of just like a whole, I believe it to be more like self-actualized, or like, hey, I realize I'm God, or represented the whole thing. The self falls away and I'm moving from that space. It might also be when we link, like kind of cyborg, because I think that's inevitable. We'll link with technology, we'll probably get implanted with a chip, connect to satellites, have internet at the top of our tip, of our mind, and just rapidly grow like that. All information downloaded, anything you want and upload. Really looking for. So, if you guys can get together on the floor, it's totally cool. And you can have a similar posture. Like, because I've learned that your external expression, like your body language and so on, actually influences your internal state. So you can totally like back, erect, alert. So like, where does this all lead to, right? It's leading to a greater sense of unity. As you learn, as you keep going through this thing, there's actually a greater sense of empathy, of love. I've learned that as you go inside more, you actually connect more outside. The more you individuate, the more diversity there is, the more you become your own individual, and the more you go in, you actually connect with the whole even more. So this is actually moving to a greater sense of love. And I'm going to use the words love and spirit and God as the same exact thing. The more you realize what you are, the more you realize what everybody else is. You can only see in every individual what you see in yourself. So if you can please go ahead and close your eyes. Focus on your breath. Feel your body. Keep your attention here. No, don't go into your past. Don't think about memories. Don't care about what other people are thinking about you. Don't go into the future. Stay alert. That takes effort. So I want to go into a story. Imagine there's nothing right now. That there's this awareness behind you right now. Whatever that thing that is looking, that's having this experience, that was always there. That there's no time, it's always existed. And you have this thing we call a Big Bang, and it's such an explosion that happened. But you were there before that. You just see this dynamic process and your awareness come in. Just like when you awake from your dreams, there's a state you're in, and all of a sudden you see, hey, your room arrives. I'm aware of my room. Hey, I'm aware of my body. Hey, I'm aware of all these things going on. So first there's this blank slate, and all of a sudden you see these images come up, these pictures. That goes on, and you see the atoms begin to form. They come together to molecules. They still go inside your body, still contain all this. In this cell, you see one star come and explode. It dies, and it comes back together and recycles again to our system, a second generation star system. And your very atoms run through recycles from the star that came before. The universe just recycles. These are yours. These are temporary, your atoms. And it goes back. It's going to die, and it's going to go back, and this is going to happen again. It's recycling itself. The first billion years in the earth, nothing happened. Life, in the atom, the interiority, still pretty stagnant. I want you to visualize all this. You go through 3.5 billion years of evolution, of waiting, and just seeing all these things arise before you come into play, before you have this level of awareness. You imagine the grasslands. You're a hominid, just ruled completely by instincts. You're hungry, you go. You feel those urges in you now that you try to control. It's still going through you. You remember coming together in ceremonies, in circles, eating mushrooms, coming together, having these experiences of, hey, there's more. There's creativity. There's more of an experience than ever thought possible. You live through this through millenniums. You come to feel a little more aggressive, more impulsive. Hey, I want my way. I'm a little different than everybody else. I'm having my own experience. You do this for a long time. Now you come back to order, rules. You build pyramids. You build cities. You write ideologies. You have experiences of the divine, but you interpret them as things other people have said. Then you've had enough of this. And again, you want your own way. You're like, yeah, I'm tired of everybody else. I want more for me. Hey, there has to be more to reality. Maybe everybody's wrong. I'm going to go figure this out for myself. You continue, you find everything you can. You forget what you were doing before, this whole God, spirit thing. You're like, there's no really point to anything. I'm just going to live my life, acquire money, feel good about myself, look good in front of other people. At some point, that doesn't become enough. I get fed up with that. That becomes boring. Like, I want a little more. I want to feel more. There has to be more colors to my universe than I'm aware of. You begin to see other people like, hey, that's a cool color. You see other people like, hey, I've never seen even like a planet like that spin before. People are different than me. I kind of like this. It's kind of enriching my experience. I'm totally digging people being different than me. So you go to each person, get to know them. You like that they're all different from you. They give you a little zest. It's really nice. And at some point, you're like, well, what's this come to? Like, okay, there's all these different flowers. There's all these different colors. But what am I? And you look back through your life, you're like, yo, I've gone through all these stages of evolution. I've been evolving. I've seen a pattern. And now I'm aware of that. Awareness becoming aware of itself. Dude, this is cool. Like, now I can take the reins. What can I do with this? So what if I concentrate on my own evolution? What if I just sit down and meditate, I read, I go find information, and I concentrate on my own growth? What kind of world will I be next? What will I be if I totally take the reins and do this my own way? You do that for a long time. And again, you kind of get bored with yourself. You want to see people again, but you begin to care in a different way. You're like, hey, the world's kind of falling apart. Like, I'm enjoying this whole experience thing. It's pretty tight, it's pretty cool, right? And I've already cared about other people because I see they're going through what I'm going through. In fact, I'm beginning to sense that they are kind of like me, that they are me, like there's no real division. That their experiences matter just as mine. And then you look at an animal's eyes, a cockroach, an ant, a turtle, a bird. And you wonder, what's the animating principle behind that? What's its experience? Could it be kind of like mine? Does it have a certain level of depth that I carry? That its experience is relatively just as important? That divine wanted to manifest and come through so many realms, and here I am, just a piece of that. You start to care in a different way about all life that you've never cared before. And you realize it's almost more important than you. That it has more importance in your individual life, that you're willing to give up your body to save that whole. The earth is dying. So what's 30, 40, 50 years in one body when the whole cycle could keep going and you don't want it to go away? So out of love, you continue to do that. So, can you please take a breath? Realize who you are now, that you're just playing a part in this room right now, in this body, that you're having this experience of who you are at this moment. And go ahead and open your eyes. Come into this room that you chose to be in at some moment. You're like, hey, at whatever age I am now, at whatever point, I chose to be here right now at this moment with these individuals, that this was all planned. Would you mind just breaking into groups of 3? 3. You do that in this World Cafe style. We do 3. And you can each spend no more than 1 minute, each of you, saying, first, what you learned, who are you from this space, and some of the images you saw. So what was your experience like while this whole thing was going on? And I'll let people to talk if you don't.
Jahan, talking about the whole presentation.
Yeah, this meditation.
Oh, just
Is all winter running? Or we didn't do like.
We were both just saying that we had trouble staying present.
Yeah, it's effort. It really does take effort. Just alertness.
Although the clapping and snapping that really helps.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Noise.
I was like, what?
It's a whole back erect. Keeps you. That takes up energy, you know. So it keeps you in your body. Just go to sleep.
I was having trouble. I was like fidgeting at one point. I better practice for that. Seriously. Especially.
Well, I wasn't presenting today, so I could say.
Good.
Yeah. Someone else around me would fidget. Making people fidget. Yeah, I did. But I was a disruptive. So I was like, we can try.
Being in class this week, so I know how to do it.
You just take practice.
Thanks, everybody. We can go ahead and get into a big circle again. Floor. Floor.
More. That was the red.
There you go, right? Bam. Okay. So then we can go around and just quickly just spend a few seconds saying how you feel, what this means to you, how you see yourself, and how the experience or something you've learned. Just whatever, don't force it, just whatever's there is there. You know, whatever comes up, whatever's there. Then with you, just go around and say something.
We were just talking about the feelings you can have about like where you're at in the spiral, judgment about yourself or judgment about.
Alright, yeah. It's a big part of it. No, force it. Yeah, just go ahead, pass it.
Thank you.
I am feeling a little annoyed because now I have to change my entire presentation. I shared with them the thing that really resonated with them. I enjoyed was the inclusion, exclusion, and the necessity of that evolution.
That's cool. I'm looking forward to hearing it.
Everything that you say. I didn't feel I was. We were talking about how I kept going in and out of being in the present.
Yeah. I know, that's happening at every moment of the day. Sometimes you're here, sometimes you're not.
A lot of times
Yeah, I just have the same problem as the 60%. For my church.
Yeah. It's a moment of practice.
I had an easy time staying with you because your voice is so dynamic. And the snapping and the clapping help.
Yeah, I was able to stay present too, and I felt more calm and like open after. And there were different parts that like resonated with me, but I went too well.
I already knew a lot of the stuff, so anything that I say would be more feedback.
Alright.
So I'll wait till.
Alright, cool.
I'm a little slow, so I don't know how much I could follow everything that you said, but I kept thinking how you memorized the poem that you.
Oh, wow.
I'm real curious about how you practice.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote it a while ago and just practice. Just keep going through it.
I see really exercise. I
always totally expansive for me. Like I always feel like I resonate with every color or something.
All right. All right, cool. Yeah, it does, right? Thank you very much.